Alrighty guys, so today we have again some sell-off pressure in the memory stocks. That's your Micron, even on Sandisk, a sell-off continuation. But at the same time, we do have some other semiconductors like AMD again testing the liquidity grab area that I told you will happen as we gain above a level that I also provided to you. In this video, we'll take a look at Nvidia, AMD, ARM, Broadcom, Micron, Sandisk, TSM, Intel, Seagate, all of these stocks. Let's identify the price action. Let's see, are we going to continue to see sell-off, or we may start to stabilize and can expect some bounces along the ways this week. Now, before going further, as always, none of this is any financial advice, only for education purposes, just sharing my opinion. Please do your own thing. So let's take a look at Micron here first. So Micron, guys, as I have been telling you, that $1,100 below is where weakness will start. All right. And as you can see, after losing that, our price action and structure has been continuing in the decline. We have constituted a lower high with that, and thus the weakness still remains below $1,100. I gave you this zone below 970 area, and we have tested that very zone. Now, I give you always all the forward looking outcomes. What are the possibilities as we lose certain zones where we can possibly get to? And along the ways, I tell you all the price action, how to read. You know all these things ahead of time in advance, okay? So if you really appreciate that, please hit the like and subscribe. There is a lot of effort goes into making these videos for you. So please, you can show your appreciation by just liking this video as well. All right, so Micron continues to remain in the negative structure here, guys, okay? We are still a little bit trying to bounce around at 970 area. And as I have told you that when I did my last video on Micron Sandisk, especially the time when SK Hynix and Samsung were running that very day, right? I told you that some bounce is building up. Definitely check that video out on my channel if you haven't done so. And however, that, as I said, yes, we may have some bounces along the ways, but don't make it as, don't take it as that we gonna just continue to straight go up from here, right? Like for example, this is Kospi, still a little bit slowing down up there in our zone of rejection, a little bit filled the gap, but it's still slowing down. On the hourly interval, I gave you a reference line, and Kospi has been rejecting there, right? So yes, we got those good bounces, guys. We got those good bounces, but as I said that day, technically this is your near-term bounce, right? Showing you SK Hynix rejected in that very zone that I gave you, right? On SK Hynix, that yes, it's a good rebound, but don't take it more than a rebound. Right now below this, our weakness will still persist. So, and you can see SK Hynix rejecting there. Samsung, on the other hand, though, has a push through, okay? It did try to stabilize. It did go up above that zone of resistance. It first rejected, came back, found a support, and then is a little bit pushing up, but it's still also very far away from like making a next leg up. It's, so just keep that in mind, right? This is also just teetering at the edge. But as I said, with those that you cannot one-on-one create a correlation, because these, like Micron, Sandisk, they will individually trade on the US stocks market with their own sentiment. So we have to still follow the price action on these particular stocks. So, and that's where Micron, as we were in the weakness, today's bounce is just a bit of a bounce, and we are still in the rejection over here. We are still in the negative structure. Let's get to the hourly interval. Significant level above is where this significant level is giving it a resistance today. And this is just very tiny bounce, guys, okay? As I have told you previously, 1100 below, our weakness will remain. If rebound has to happen, that will be like about 1013 area. But you can see that's why. And we kept rejecting there. That's why the rebound never will build, because our significant level is sitting right over there and it kept rejecting it, right? That's why these levels are so important. If you need access to my tools, you will find the details of my tools in the description of this video. You will find the Patreon links there, follow along, and you will, see all the instructions there. So Micron remains in the weakness. That still remains the case though. If we regain 1013, that significant area, we can still push for a rebound, and then we will see if that rebound has enough strength to continue in more strength for multi-day strength. Otherwise, right now this is still in the decline, and as we lose this bottom part, 985 area, the zone, we may be testing 863 zone. I do expect a bounce there, but when that bounce happens, it's just going to be a bounce again, because this very area that you are seeing over here, this will become your then rejection zone. Okay, so right now our direction on this thing is still to the downside. I'm just going to update some color codes here so that it's easier to just visualize. So let's make it red. So I'm not going to make it green here because it's not a confirmed support. It's just a zone where price is reacting at our magnet, and we are not seeing any strength come back on the multi-day side that this is a support right now. This is a zone of importance, the one down here, but the price action is still negative. All right, let's take a look at Sandisk. So Sandisk continued lower. It rejected pretty much, guys, at our zone area, and Sandisk, I also told you that we will remain in the rejection. This is where we lost the zone of 2065, and thereafter we have been continuing down. That was a few days ago. I told you if we lose it, it's going to create problems. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. And so now this was the zone lately that as we stay below 1906, we will stay in the rejection. You cannot look any upside, and you can see that very zone area still kept rejecting it today, and price is coming down. Sandisk, that is the strong resistance on it, and just like Micron, there is no way you can look any upside as we continue to stay below this very zone. Definitely next zone is 1590 area. We may see a bounce there, but that will be just a bounce for now, and then most likely we may. The point is that you cannot look upside until above that 1900 zone. Again, give or take few dollars, it's a zone, right? And below that you cannot look upside right now. Okay, and you can expect weakness in the stock. Definitely the bigger problem is if we lose the bottom part, this zone, right, 1580 area, and that's where your bigger problem is, because that will open it up to, well, much more levels down below in a problematic way, 1286 and so forth, maybe 765, we'll see, but it's just not in that strength right now. Okay, so just so you know, it can come, but we have to regain those zones as I mentioned. Okay, if we regain those zones, then strength can build up, otherwise no, and accordingly you have to risk manage. Let's take a look at AMD. So I gave you a scenario on AMD. I gave you a zone actually. It has been in our distribution phase here, bullish distribution phase technically. Let's get to the hourly interval. And I gave you this very zone, guys, 528 area, 528 and 529 area, right? That's why you're seeing this zone marked. And I said that if an AMD can turn around, if it gets above 528, it did that. And then when the market opened, it held that as a support as well, that very zone. And I mentioned that if it does that, it can test the liquidity grab zone area again, and just did that today. Check out my previous videos if you want to know more context about that. Okay, so liquidity zone is still being tested again today, a little bit coming down. However, this is in the bullish strength with the technically, yes, until we are not taking out the liquidity grab, it's gonna stay as in the distribution phase here. But that's the whole point, is at this point you are just holding your position. If you have had AMD from the long term, you are just holding your position and or maybe taking some partial profits here. You are not adding big positions. I would not suggest, you can do whatever you like, but I would not suggest going big on AMD here. And like if you have a position, that's the only way to do it. It's definitely not a short confirmed play either. As you can see, we are gaining the strength here. Multi-day weakness is over technically today because we got above that zone of 528 that I told you. Above that, multi-day weakness will be over. and we will test the liquidity zone again, which we did today. But it is, the good thing is that it is holding. Now, that's the whole point. That very zone up here, if it can continue to stay above 552, 550 area, right, then it is gonna gain strength and momentum and take out the liquidity zone. If it loses, that's the whole point, guys. This is what happens in the distribution phase. Liquidity areas, zones will be tested over and over again. Okay, so anyhow, above 528, definitely we are in the strength right now, and this zone, especially 550, is the one defining and holding the multi-day strength. If we stay above it, all good. If we don't, unfortunately, we remain in the distribution phase and in the weakness. Let's take a look at Nvidia, because Nvidia is also showing some signs of stabilization. However, it's not bullish, guys. It is just your sideways action here. It is, yes, it is holding the zone, but overall structure is not bullish. That will only happen above 204 area, and we are not even above the near-term resistance on the multi-day side right now, which is at 199.50 cents. Below that, still not there in the strength. So okay, all right, let's take a look at ARM now. So ARM, guys, continues to reject at our even current resistance zone. It remains still in the weakness. You can see precisely at our resistance zone it's rejecting, and that's why you cannot expect still any strength. We have to get above this zone before we can even start to look into any first leg of strength, which will push us to 361, but that will be only above 337. Below that, weakness will persist. So all right, above that, yes, strength can come back in, at least for the first leg on the multi-day, nothing more than that right now. Broadcom is also today, actually, it is bouncing up off and testing a zone above 385, and this was the near-term zone. I said that 373, if we can regain, it may actually start to do some stabilization, and it can start to give some strength on the multi-day to the upside, which it's trying to do. Okay, so it is showing signs that it want to stabilize and maybe find a bottom here. Okay, so where does that happen? Well, this zone is what we have to continue to hold though for that 372. Technically, if you were in the short on Broadcom, okay, if you took the short play here on Broadcom from wherever, this is the time you gotta start exiting your short once we start to regain above 373. And full structure will start to gain strength. Either it stays up there for few more days and or also get above 386. That's where strength on this will start to come back in. So it is holding the zone, but we have to stay above this zone that is of 372 area, 370 and 372. If we lose it, unfortunately, it's just a bounce for the day, because it's still just a part of a rebound and multi-day turning around, but it doesn't make it overall bullish yet. It's just a day of a bounce, which is giving it some multi-day upside, or a day of upside to begin with, actually. All right, Micron, Sandisk, we already talked about. Let's take a look at TSM. Now, TSM is very zigzaggy. It's definitely a slow mover. It's just, yeah, it's doing its thing. It's just chopping around the important zone, 448, definition of a distribution phase. And if it can hold it, sure, but I don't have any position in TSM. It's just not a zone, or it's not a type of a stock that just pushes straight through. It has been actually technically going up. Like if you look at it, it has been technically just going up in the straight line. So if you want to trade like that, sure, technically, yeah, you can, definitely I would still suggest below 447, manage the position size down. Overall, you can have like 418 as your ongoing area. But the point is that, yeah, it's just the definition of distribution phase here, but it's the type of a stock that may linger around, that does a lot of sideways choppiness, then one day it will push up and then a lot of choppiness and all that stuff. So all right, so Intel, guys, is rejecting right at that zone that I mentioned, that is didn't regain, so you cannot look to the upside. 126 and 60 cents area below, where we are rejecting as well today. We are still in the near-term negative structure. It hasn't lost the bottom zone here, 118 yet, so bigger picture weakness may not be there yet. But the point is that the proper upside, you cannot look until it gets above that red zone above. Okay, that's below that, you will remain in the weakness and accordingly manage the position. Seagate also continues to remain in the negative structure for us here. This one was actually many days ago it was the front leading stock to show the weakness. Today's candle is just a little bit of an inside bounce candle, doesn't make it bullish, which is what I'm expecting that others would do also, a little bit of these bounces. Seagate is a very much a leading indicator of the price action, how you can expect on other stocks right now, on these chips and memory stocks, right? Let's take a look at the hourly interval. So what are we seeing today is just a part of a bit of a bounce between significant levels. You can see bounced and held one significant level, coming down from the significant level below, and but it's just right that it is only what it is right now. It doesn't make it overall bullish. You will have to let it start to get above this red zone, 940 area, but it's a zone. Only above that it will start to possibly push through to the upside, which will maybe then give it a retest of the highs. Otherwise below that there will be weakness. I also expect that sure, these tests can happen, but it may also put it in the distribution phase. The point is that we had a good run up. Okay, this is the time that you should be in a very minimal position, and if you are trying to re-enter, then you just make sure that your upside, well, we can definitely push up as well, but the point is that you are making sure that you are holding position only until the structure remains and price action remains bullish. If it doesn't, you are sizing down, and next run up may not give you that much of a strength either. But the point is that below red zone, you should not be looking bullish right now on Seagate as well. Okay, all right guys, well, that's all I had for you in this video. If you liked it, hit the like, subscribe. If you found it helpful and valuable, yeah, hit the like and subscribe. If you want to check out many other stuff that I do for the members, my win-win option strategy for the 2 stocks that I have shared with my members, you can check out these videos, members only videos, trade plans, and lot more stocks, guys, that I talk with the members, where I'm putting my money. All of that stuff you will find in the members only videos. Feel free to check it out. Also my tools, if you need them, you will find them on Patreon. Links are in the description of this video. And with that, we'll see you in the next videos, guys. Take care. Bye.